Hi, welcome to episode 3 of Wild Wheels. Today I traveled up to Prior Lake, Minnesota to pay a little visit to Chad Pearson at Pearson Customs. Chad, thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming.
Chad, you started Pearson Customs how long ago?
About 5 years ago.
About 5 years. Mainly because you went to buy a bike and you couldn't find one that you liked.
Exactly.
So you decided to build it, and you had a pretty good background in machining because you're a third generation machinist and you went to school for it, right?
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about the path that you took from a young man into the business that you've created now.
Well, I grew up in snowboarding and skateboarding and a third generation machinist, so I grew up learning how to machine. I was always in a garage. I was always making something. And then I went to college for machining. Once I went there, I came back and I moved on to Minneapolis, started machining at a shop. Raced snowcross and motocross for many years. And then all of a sudden I just quit breaking my bones, so I wanted to start riding on the street, and I couldn't find a bike that I liked. So then once I couldn't find it, I just decided to make it, and I started making parts and bikes, and it blew up, and this is what I'm doing today, full time.
What the first bike you built frame, I know you're what I know you most for is your springers. What was the point that once you got it done, it was like, oh, I can make a go of this? Was there a certain part that people came after, or just your style in general, or?
Once I got the first bike done, my Outlaw, it kind of, everyone caught the springer.
Mm-hmm.
And the frame design, just how simple the bike looked, and everyone liked the design of it, and that's just my style that I seen in my head, and it's what I've gone for, and we base everything off of that and that kind of style. And once it started to catch on, people wanted springers and frames and the machining of parts, and it just blew up and went for it.
Now you said you made about how many ground ups have you done?
I've done about 6 ground up bikes.
Okay. So that's pretty good over a 5-6 year span. How many springers have you pumped out? Quite a few.
In the last 5 years, I think we're up to 35 springers we've done.
Cool.
And probably 15 to 20 frames.
And we were talking earlier. You basic springer design, but just little tweaks to get it to fit the bike, because instead of building a springer X amount of length, you ask for the specs of the frame and then build the springer to go with that. It almost seems, it's really custom versus when you flip through a catalog, it's like, oh, here's a springer this long or a springer this long. What kind of specs do you require from a customer to build?
When they come to order a springer, rather than just giving them a 12 over springer or something, we do it so we build the springer to fit the frame so your trail's right and it's going to handle correctly.
Okay.
So then we have you set your frame at ride height with your rear tire in it, so
Okay.
your frame's nice and level.
Mm-hmm.
We need the measurement from the bottom of the neck to the ground,
Okay.
the rake of it, and what size front tire you're going to run.
Okay.
And then we'll build the springer in our jig, and we'll just get that all dialed in so you're going to bolt it up and it's going to handle it right. So you'll have 3 to 4 inches of trail, it'll be set, you'll be ready to roll.
And you're able to control that basically with the lower rocker.
Machining our own rockers, machining the whole thing, everything's welded in-house, there's no one else doing it. We're able to adjust the springer to fit every frame.
Okay. All right, then here's your jig for building
Here's
the front
our
end.
springer jigs. When you order a springer, rather than shipping us the frame, you give us our measurements we need. And we can just basically mock up your frame right here off your neck. So rather than having your frame, we got your measurements, we mock everything up with this jig, and then we build the springer accordingly.
Pretty simple to design, just
Really
whatever
simple.
the height from the neck to the ground
Yep.
is, and then you can adjust the rake.
Your rake, you tell us the height to the ground at your ride height, you set your rake, and we know what size front tire you're going to run, and we build it right here.
So besides the frames and the springers, what other kind of parts do you machine?
Well, we machine pretty much anything. It depends on who it's for, what customers. We make shit for other stuff for other jobs, other companies. We make our own parts as far as our own gas caps, brass vented gas caps, steel bungs. Any style we can make them. We offer a couple standard styles themselves. We make oil tank or tranny plugs. Take out your stock tranny plug, and we got brass tranny plugs, stainless stems on them, marked for your high and low oil, ready to go. A couple different styles of them. We make pretty much anything. We got a lot of accessories. If you can think of it, we're making some small brass bolts for holding on your carburetor, your bottom 4 bolts.
Oh, okay.
It's just accent parts. Whatever you can think of, we can make it if we don't already make it. For your shovel heads, we got some brass nuts to replace your stock brass nuts on there. So pretty much anything that you can think of, we can make. We make all their frames, custom orders, stock frames, pretty much everything.
Okay. Well, you're probably watching this, looking at the big CNC machine behind us, thinking, "Wow, this guy's got quite the setup." We're in a 2-stall. Is this even a 2-stall garage?
One and
I
a
guess
half.
it's yeah, because your door is 16 foot and you got no space on either side. So
Yeah.
we're a nice tight little garage in a residential section of Prior Lake. But you've got a lot of stuff crammed into this little area. You got the big CNC machine here. You got a lathe over there. You got your frame jig right here. Tubing benders, English wheel,
Another mill.
the mill, toolboxes, you name it. I'm looking at a million grinders hanging on the back wall. And you were saying that you actually, you made some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at some of the other shop supplies you got set up here. All right. Well, here you got your frame table. What do you got mocked up on there now?
Right here is a Yamaha 650 frame. We're doing, a customer sent it to us. He just wants to hardtail it. So we're just going to cut everything off and keep in our stock seat posts, bottom bracing. Keep that part stock, and we'll come back and hardtail it off, put a little drop seat in it for him. The frame jig here, I built this 5.5 years ago, and it's one of the favorite things that I've ever made. I got a bunch of different attachments, from Triumphs for your motor mounts to Yamahas to your standard Evo to all of your new stuff. Everything, we got different attachments for it. Goes on, we can build any frame, modify any frame, everything fits in here. A lot of customers come and they just wonder where we bought it, they want to buy it. So it's a pretty nice jig that works out great for us for what we do.
Looks pretty solid. Nice. Back there you got the for the axle blocks.
All our axle blocks fully adjustable, different lengths. We can build a very, very long bike.
What's the longest frame you've had on here?
I just finished a bike that came out at I think it was almost 11.5 feet.
Holy cow!
So we just did a 4-inch stretch on a bike, and then we had a 2-inch stretch in the rear. So total stretch was 6 inches on it, and I couldn't even touch.
So aside from making custom frames from the ground up, if somebody has something pre-existing, you can take and modify it for
Oh
them.
yeah, absolutely. That's a big part of our business. Is if you want to add a couple degrees in rake, you want to add a couple inches in height or stretch, we modify frames to whatever you need. Look at it, which is cheapest to modify it or build a new frame from scratch. We machine all our own necks, axle blocks, tranny plates. Everything is machined in-house right here, so everything can be modified or changed. If you just want to change something on your frame you got right now, we can add a new neck gusset or whatever you want to change, we can do it.